The soul's plan seems intangible, invisible, something that floats in some dimension we cannot access with our hands. And yet, it is written. It has always been written, in the lines of our palms, in the maps of the sky we inhabit at birth, in the places on earth where we choose to place our feet. The book of space and time is in our hands, literally, but we don't know how to read it because we lack the code. It's like having a treasure map in a language we don't understand. The symbols are there, the lines are there, but we cannot translate them into concrete experiences. I spent years traveling without understanding why certain places called to me with inexplicable force. Why in some places I felt at home and in others something broke inside me. Why there were geographies that nourished me and others that challenged me to the limit. I thought it was coincidence or karma or simply the turns of life, until one day everything began to make sense. The message of the heel. Gon the Weaver told me something that changed my way of understanding the world. In English he told me, to heal, pay attention where you put your heel. And then in Spanish, tu talón es tu talión, your heel is your law. Note in Spanish, talón and talión, retribution law, are nearly identical in spelling. I kept turning that over in my mind for days. Talón, talión, heel, heel. A year later, Hermes reaffirmed the message with greater clarity. To heal is to cure. Heel is the heel. Put the right heel. Place your heel in the right spot. That gesture, that simple act of stepping on the earth in a specific point, that is your talión, your law. Not the law of an eye for an eye, but the law of your own existence. The law that determines your experience of reality. Stabilize your space, and you will find your time. Something opened there. The space where we place our feet determines how we live time. Geography is space. Astronomy is time. And when they cross, when the place where you step meets the moment in which you do it, something ancient activates, the ley lines of your own perception. It's curious how in Spanish, talón and talión are spelled almost the same. As if the language itself held the secret. Where you place your heel, there your law is written. And those lines that are drawn between space and time, those are the ley lines. The lines along which your perception moves, expands, transforms. When heaven touches earth, ley lines are not just those energetic roots that connect Stonehenge with the pyramids, sacred mountains with power centers. That too. But there is something more intimate. Ley lines are the pathways along which your perception of reality moves. They are the roots that are drawn when the sky of your birth is projected onto the geography of the planet. The network of the world is connected to this truth. Space is geography. Time is astronomy. The combination of both marks each person's ley lines in what we know as astrocartography. When you are born, the sky draws a mandala over your body. That is your natal chart. We all know that. But that same mandala is projected over the entire Earth. And depending on where you place your heel, where you step, you will activate different parts of that mandala. The Earth is a giant piano, and each place you visit plays a different note of your personal symphony. I began to look at my life, my travels. I began to see the pattern. There were places where something opened in me, where I could breathe deeply, where ideas flowed, where connections appeared as if the universe conspired in my favor. And there were other places where something closed, where things got complicated, where I felt pressure, conflict, transformation. Sometimes that transformation was beautiful. Other times it was brutal. And when I finally saw my map projected onto the geography of the world, I understood. It wasn't coincidence. It was the map manifesting in my life. The piano of the Earth. Your natal chart can be extended over the planet. Each planet in your chart traces lines on the map. Where your Venus line passes, you find love, beauty, harmony. Where your Mars line passes, you find action, will, but also conflict. Where Saturn passes, you find structure, limits, teachers. Lessons that make you grow even if they hurt. But the key is to recognize where you were born, where you placed your heels upon arriving in this world. Because from that starting point, the lines unfold. And when you begin to work consciously, with the alchemy of your own existence, you learn where to place your foot and how to move your time. It's not just about being in the right place. It's about being in the right place at the right time, space and time dancing together. I began to remember experiences, places where the connection was instantaneous, where I felt I was returning home even though I had never been there before. And when I looked at the map, I saw those places were on lines of expansion, of jubilation, of recognition. I also remembered places where things were intense, where I lived experiences that broke me and rebuilt me. And the map also showed that. Lines of crisis, lines of death and rebirth. The fascinating thing was realizing it wasn't about avoiding certain places. It was about understanding what each place was for in my life. Some places are on your map to teach you, not for you to stay. Others are for you to build roots, to build a temple. And others are thresholds, portals you cross to access another version of yourself, the Wheel of Destiny. There is a key point in astrology. It's called the part of fortune. It's the mathematical place where the sun, moon, and ascendant meet in your chart. It's the wheel of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, the point where your destiny manifests most clearly. When you project that point onto the world map, you find places of destiny, places where your personal fortune activates, where doors open in ways you never imagined, where life rewards you simply for being there, with your heel properly placed. But you also find places where destiny tests you, where you have to learn something you haven't learned yet, where you need to grow, evolve, let go. The map doesn't lie, but it's not carved in stone either. All of this responds to transits, to the current movements of the sky. A place that at one point in your life was a battlefield can become a sanctuary years later, when the planets have moved and you have moved with them. Reading the invisible map. So, what's the point of knowing all this? Because destiny is written. But the way you live it depends on you. It's like a musical score. The notes are there, but you can play them with fear, stumbling, resisting, or you can play them with consciousness, knowing what's coming, preparing for the crescendos and respecting the silences. When you begin to work with the alchemy of your existence, when you begin to consciously activate the energies you came to work with on this planet, you need to know where to place your foot and how to move your time. Space and time working together, geography and astrology in synchrony. The soul's plan is not floating in some distant dimension. It's here, in the palms of your hands, in the lines of your feet, in the places where you choose to be, and in the moments where you choose to anchor yourself. The map is already drawn. It's already written. What remains is to learn to read it. The game board. On this path of alchemy that we are walking together, our task during this year will be to recognize our time and space of birth. Because in many of our missions, we will need to follow the map. And to follow a map, you first need to know it from the beginning of the path. It's not just about knowing your sun sign or your ascendant. It's about understanding where, in what specific geography of the planet, your natal chart comes to life in different ways, where your gifts are activated, where your challenges present themselves, where you will find the people who came to walk with you, where the thresholds you must cross are. This is the board of our game. The great planetary mission we share is played on a map, and each of us drew that map before arriving here. Now it's time to remember it, read it, activate it. So the question I leave you with is not simple curiosity. It's an invitation to action. Are you ready to know the map you drew for yourself in this incarnation? Do you want to know what places on the planet are waiting for you? Where did you place your anchors before being born? And when is the moment to activate them? Because your destiny is not written in the stars alone. It's written in the earth you step on, and that will be the board of our game of consciousness. You can calculate your astrocartography at astro.com. It's free. You only need your date, time, and place of birth, and there you will see how your natal sky is projected over the entire earth.